Mr. DeGuerin indicated that this was one of the matters he believed necessary to get this issue behind us and work toward a final resolution. That's why we're doing it. We're not trying to put up any unnecessary impediments to get this matter resolved. So we went ahead and said you would be allowed a meeting this morning. At this point, we have no intentions of allowing a subsequent meeting unless we get into a situation where we really think it's the final hurdle. Yes, on the back row.
Could you explain from your understanding of what happened that day a little bit more specifically what their conflicting legal concerns might be and why they would need separate counsel?
The question is, why would they need separate counsel? Without him telling me why, but I mean, logically I can assume at different points they may be taking different theories, different defenses. If you have contrary defenses existing at the same time, obviously one counsel cannot represent both opinions. If at some point Mr. Steiner says he was only following the orders of David Koresh, and Mr. Koresh says everyone had acted independently of their own free will, obviously you have contrary positions that cannot be maintained, and that you have to have separate counsel representing those. Yes.
Did you get any indication that one may in fact testify against the other at the conclusion of this?
The question is, did we get any indication that one may be testifying against the other? We got absolutely none of that. Yes, on the back row.
If you accept Mr. DeGuerin's legal judgment, and apparently you do, that there might be conflicting legal issues, does that therefore not hold also for the other members of the cult still inside the compound? And then legally, is there now not an obligation to provide them as well with counsel?
Yeah, the question is, because there are conflicting theories, is there not an obligation to provide others in the compound with legal counsel? There is absolutely no obligation on our part to provide anyone in that compound with legal counsel. The only reason we're doing it, and the only reason we've done it from the very beginning, is we believe by providing the leaders, and only the leaders, with counsel, that perhaps it will lead to the resolution of this issue. We've got some over here. Nobody interested? Here we go.
The matter of DeGuerin talking about is focusing on the issues. Are you still under the impression that they are actually talking about wanting to come out and get this thing to trial, or do you, as you mentioned yesterday, do you suspect that there's a possibility they are being sidetracked on other issues?
Question is, do we believe they're really focused on the issues, or are they being sidetracked by other issues? I believed from the very beginning that they being the people inside the compound, had a certain time agenda, and they've indicated that before. It involves either around certain religious holidays, certain new moons, certain astrological signs, whatever, and I believe it's their goal to try to have whatever takes place, whether it's a peaceful resolution or whatever, to occur in sync with those. I believe that they have finally brought that about during their discussions. I can't say that with certainty based on what Mr. DeGuerin has told to me, but it does appear he's frustrated. He thought the matter was going to be over by now, but it does appear there is a certain stretching out. The other members in the cult, or the group, have indicated at various times that Passover was key to them. This is continually reported. It was reported previously by Mr. Koresh, so I think that somewhere along this agenda that Passover is entering into the equation. Follow-up.
Ed, have you been in contact with Koresh since these talks have been yesterday to get some indication as to what the status is?
Question is, have we been in contact with Mr. Koresh since this? We last spoke to Mr. Koresh 10:55 p.m. on Monday, March the 29th.
No other contact?
No. Yes, sir.
Despite all these legal matters and technical matters, we never hear anything about the children. Are they still being held hostage, and is anything being concentrated upon that?
The question is, what about the children? Are they being held hostage? It's hard to say. One's parents are holding their own children hostage. They all have their own parents in there. We did ask for a videotape. The children appear to be well fed. They appear to be clean. They do seem, however, some of them appear to be under stress. It's obviously a very stressful situation, which I'm sure is going to have an effect on them for years to come. It's not a healthy situation. We do want to get that issue resolved. We've always said, as a sign of goodwill, we would love to see the children come out. That does not appear to be part of the discussions taking place. Yes, back here?
Yes, if Dick DeGuerin comes out and says, David Koresh says he's ready to come out if you'll give him an hour of airtime, would you do that again?
Question is, Dick DeGuerin says they're ready to come out if we give them an hour of airtime. I indicated previously that our offer, that was part of the letter, had been withdrawn, but the Christian Broadcasting Network has indicated that they would honor that previous offer they had made and would give them the hour of airtime. What we have told Mr. DeGuerin, any reasonable type situation, we would probably accede to it as long as it does not adversely affect any charges being filed or the ultimate handling of this matter in a court of law. Yes, sir.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago you had said that there were some the people that were wounded, the other cult members wounded in the shootout may have reached a critical point in their injuries, particularly Judy Schneider Koresh. What information do you have along those lines? And is DeGuerin giving you any information along those lines as well?
Question
and I have
is,
a follow-up
Mr. DeGuerin giving us any information regarding the injuries of those inside the compound? And do we have any other information? We do not. We do not know what the status of those injuries might be. Follow-up.
Is on a different matter. You realize that there are some movie companies that are involved in, or that are interested in doing movies on this situation. Is the FBI or the ATF allowing access to any of their background information, files, providing consultants to any of these people?
Question is the FBI, I can't speak for ATF, is the FBI providing background information regarding any movie projects? We had that thrown out previously, and I checked with our headquarters and said there was absolutely no basis to that rumor. I would suspect that they perhaps have gone to retired people or other people of that nature that might give them background, but the FBI is not assisting in any movie projects at this point.
Not the one that's being involved in Oklahoma, the In the Line of Duty movie that's up there?
Right, we are not assisting in that.
Okay.
Yes, sir?
This is a question for Mr. Troy. And it's just trying to recount the types of weapons you suspected David Koresh and his followers to have that prompted the raid on the 28th. And I have a follow-up.
I should say, first of all, that I appreciate you not allowing Bob to throw a no-hitter at me here 2 days in a row. The question is, what type of weapons did we suspect that Vernon Howell had inside the compound prior to the raid? The information that we had from our intelligence sources and our investigative efforts indicated, as I stated before, that he had large numbers of assault-type rifles, such as AR-15s and AK-47s. We also had information to indicate that he had converted many of those weapons to full automatic fire. There were also, as I mentioned before, grenades thrown at us during the actual firefight from inside the compound. So obviously they had obtained, in some fashion, some destructive devices. Beyond that, the only other indication that we had was during the firefight itself, and that was our agents felt like they definitely heard what appeared to be heavy caliber weapons fire. Your follow-up?
Yeah, and the follow-up is just a recounting of what the ATF had going into the raid.
Right. Collectively, the raid team was armed with their 9mm semi-automatic pistols, which is ATF's issue firearm for all special agents. They also had AR-15 rifles, MP5 9mm assault weapons, semi-automatic, some converted to fire 2-round bursts, and they had 12-gauge shotguns, and we also had a position that utilized .308 caliber sniper rifles.